Welcome back. Today we are talking with Daman Sood about safeguarding organizations from insider threats. Daman, great first segment there. As I said before, and I've mentioned even during our break, this is something I wanted to talk about for a while, the
Right.
insider threats. So now that we talked about who some of the players are, what are some of the incidents that insiders might get involved with? What are some of the things they could do?
As simple as breaking my head or your head. You could do that to me. I could do that to you. So it may be within employees. I'm a disgruntled employee. I have some information. I get mad and I can start breaking. So it may be a physical harm to a colleague. It could be harm to the infrastructure. Once again, physical breakage. It may be a building. It may be data center. It may be any other asset. It may be small equipment, if not full data center. I can attempt to do financial frauds. A disgruntled employee who has the information about the organization, or it could be a sabotage of any other type. I may attempt to steal. Rather than breaking, I may attempt to steal the asset or information. And most common of these may be related to unauthorized disclosure of sensitive information. That's one of the most common acts.
Which is one of the things you kind of mentioned in the first segment
Right.
with that corporate espionage, passing along secret.
Exactly. Exactly.
And
And this
though,
may be trade secrets. These may be some new products that we are developing, new design that we are developing, and a person either during his or her employment or after leaving may pass on these secrets to a competitor, most likely.
and if someone, using me as example again, if I start getting involved with this without me knowing, again, that I'm doing these things, not only am I putting the organization at risk, because we are talking insider threats, but depending on what I'm doing, I could be putting my work colleagues at risk as well, right?
Yes, yes, I'll include myself also. If it's happening without my understanding, I do not understand. So even I'm at risk. I would like to give an example, which is not a good example, but it happens. There are so many charities running in the world. And in last couple of years in India, there have been some changes in rules with respect to NGOs, that NGOs in India, other countries, they receive international aids from so many places. It may be a person, it may be an institution, it may be a big charity in that country, and they receive, and that is in foreign currency. So there are some rules and regulations to be followed, and there may be some inappropriate actions either from this side or that side in that. Another link with that is, for example, if you are running a charity, I say that I would like to donate some money to your charity. Assume that's $10,000. But we do, two of us discuss and we say, actually, it's only $1,000 that comes to you. 9,000 should be paid back to me in incorrect way. So on papers, I show I have donated $10,000, but actually it's only $1,000 has come to you. And you give me a certificate for $10,000.
Mhm.
There's some rules and regulations being exploited by me in this case. This happens. So this was happening with me. Someone got in touch with me about 15 years ago that Daman, I was associated with some charity, not my NGO, but someone else NGO. I was called their representative in northern part of India and would like to donate some money. And they were talking big money in Indian terms. I was happy because of me, my NGO will get so much money and then we will be able to do so much good work. I agreed to meet them. They came. Actually, they came to my home. I was happy that someone giving money is even willing to come to my home rather than meeting in a cafe, for example, in a restaurant, for example. Couple of discussions, and these were big money. I'm repeating. I was so happy internally. And then this made this statement. But Daman, out of this, assume 100 crore rupees, 90 crore has to come back to us. or out of 1 crore, 90 lakh has to come back. About 90% going back to them, whatever may be the amount or currency. And I was surprised, what is this being discussed? And I took some time. I realized there is something fishy here. And I
Mhm.
said, sorry, I would like to go ahead with this. I don't do this, and my NGO doesn't do this. And they departed. After that, I was worried, and I have been worried since that day. That because I came to know they were offering me something wrong. They were attempting to lure me into something wrong. I
Mhm.
was not doing anything wrong, but they were. It still is a risk. And at that time, for that NGO, I would have been an insider
Yeah.
who could have been lured by someone else for their own benefit. And after that, have been scared, Alex, that they knew I could have gone to police. That I know someone who was attempting to do something wrong. I should have gone. I have never gone. I have been scared. And
Mhm.
because of that, while I'm still not involved fully, but I was involved. I initiated the discussions. I participated in some discussions. Even if I go to police, they knew that I could go to police, which means I'm a risk to them. And they must eliminate this risk.
Mm.
Even
Yes.
today, I could. Even after 15 years, I could. I'm still a risk to them. And I was scared because of that.
That can be a scary story.
It is.
Th- I just thought of two things there. One, um, some of these insiders, because you gave some examples of financial fraud and things like that, and the different influences that can happen. Can there also be political reasons for some of these things occurring? Because the way we've seen the world go over the last couple of years, there's a lot of political turmoil everywhere. Could that actually be a motivator now?
And yes, one of the examples that there can be insiders within private organizations, your organization, my organization, but there are insider in government organizations also. And if there are political motives, this is a risk that even government has to manage, not only the corporate houses or private organizations.
The other thing I thought of as you were talking about your example is, can social media be a trigger for some of this insider risk threats? Because there's so much misinformation, disinformation, whatever floating around on social media. Does that have an influence on somebody that could inadvertently do something they shouldn't be doing?
The world has been talking about. We have been talking about that social media is a boon and bane both. It's a big challenge. It's a very good tool in our hands, but it's a big challenge also. You may recollect about 3 years ago. I'm not sure whether we talked about this on your show or not, but I developed a concept called Daman's thermometer. And that is about, actually it was starting was the social media, but now then I expanded this to any communication that happens. And while we are discussing insider risk management, there will be a communication portion in that. So that was to check the authenticity of the information. Social media is a big challenge. I may once again bring back our attention to the topic insider risk. What comes in social media that may spark a trigger in me to become a target. Or what I write in social media may tell someone who has been looking for easy targets that this seems
Mm.
to be a disgruntled employee. Let's get in touch with him or her. So social media is, yes, is a challenge even in risk in insider risk management, threat management. Yes.
Yeah, I agree with your comment. It's a boon and a bane. A boom and a bane. I agree with that. The good things and bad
Yeah.
things about it. Let's
Yes.
change gears slightly.
Mhm.
Uh, how does leadership and governance play a role in insider risk, or how should it play
Very,
a role?
very good. Okay. So let me attempt to read through my notes this one. Once upon a time, there was a question asked to me. Who is responsible for BCM? As a global BC manager, the CEO was asking me this question. We had some discussions. You would have known that I have long stories to tell. I will always give long answers. Perhaps I attempted that, which was not liked by CEO, and he cut me short. Daman, tell me, if we fail and we are not able to deliver, whose neck shall I chop off? This is a tricky question. It should be his neck, but I couldn't say that. So I said my neck. And he started smiling and I said, hold on. This is wrong answer. I cannot give right answer and perhaps you cannot accept right answer, but it should be your neck. Because overall, CEO is responsible. Even if I have been kept, so I may be responsible, but accountable is CEO. That's what I mean to say. So even in inside the risk management, there's a lot that the top management has to do. It's highly dependent on top management or the leadership of the company. The litmus test is during crises. So it has been said long ago by someone that the real character of a person is seen or comes out during crisis. How do I manage? How do I respond during crisis? So this is true about organizations also. If the employees see their management not evacuating building during drills, they start doing the same. They start following the same practice. They lose trust and faith in their leadership. Or if they see that there was a crisis in the organization which could not be managed well by the leadership, then they start losing faith in them. And then when I start losing faith in my organization, in my leadership, what happens is my dissatisfaction increases or my disaffection for my loyalty for the company reduces. And then I become an easy target for insiders risk,
Mhm.
knowingly or unknowingly. Now, I may like to do something wrong for the company, against the company, because I'm dissatisfied because of the top management. So, top management has to walk the talk, I would like to say.
That's an interesting
This,
point because a lot of times leaders are always, telling us follow the policies,
yes,
do
yes,
make sure you have to do these things. We have to follow, be compliance with this, and then
yes,
you find out not all leaders. So please don't send me emails and don't send Damen emails about this. But
exactly,
there are leaders who won't follow that, and we see that. So then,
right,
what incentive is there for me to follow this policy that you're telling me?
exactly, exactly. Because I look forward to my top management as my role models, and I tend to follow whatever they are doing. So if they didn't evacuate, and people have cried to me when I have been an auditor, Alex, there are some people in my company who do not evacuate, never evacuate. I would
Mm.
be surprised initially and said, who are those? This top management. Or many organizations would have a floor which is just for top management. So it's called the executive floor or leadership floor. This floor never evacuates. Big bosses. Almost crying. It
I've seen.
was example was my own organization also when I joined as global VC manager. And then this is how conversation would happen. They said, and Daman, now we feel happy because I joined at a VP level. You are a senior person. You will be almost there on that floor. So we look forward to you that you will be able to now get them out of their cabins.
So you can't evacuate, but but knowing you, you would lead by example. If you want the
I'll
rest of
attempt
your
to do that in
example to,
life. I would
the
like
rest
to.
of your employees or your
Yes.
teams to act in a specific way, then you're
Right.
going to act in that way because that's your character.
Right. I will do as much as I can. Yes. No one is perfect in this world.
Yeah.
I've been learning, improving. Yes. Every day, I would say.
Well, on that note, we're going to take a break. We've come to the end of our second segment. We are talking with Daman Sood today about safeguarding organizations from insider threats. And in our next segment, we're going to talk about how we perform those kind of assessments. How do we identify these kind of things? And we will be right back. If you like that video, thumbs up. If you didn't like that video, thumbs down. But leave me a message and let me know your thoughts. Of course, don't forget to subscribe. And in the meantime, stay prepared, everybody.